Okay, hello everybody. Welcome back to the channel today. I'm Kevin, and today we're back to our second World War topic. Today, our topic is about the Italian campaign. So, during the time of July 1943 to 1945, we have an event, and that is the Italian surrender to the Allies. So, in February 1945, as his world collapsed around him, Adolf Hitler has complained, "It is quite obvious that our Italian alliance had been more service to our enemies than ourselves." Most Italians on their side doesn't want to be encountered into war in their perspective. As defeat loomed, the Italian government rose up against their old leader Mussolini and made peace with the Allies. So, to talk in more details, we first need to talk about the first step of the Allies into Italy. So, the Allied victory in North Africa in the spring of 1943 offered the Allies the chance to invade Italy from the south. On July 10, the British, Canadian, and American troops landed in Sicily. Within 5 weeks, the island was theirs, and preparations were made to invade Italy itself. For the Italian government, the writing was on the wall. Mussolini was dispossessed and imprisoned, and secret surrender negotiations began with the Allies since then. This is especially a tricky business, since the Germany is the alliance of the Italy, and to surrender without their notice, the Italian government has to negotiate and come to the conclusion with the Allies without the eyes, in front of the eyes of thousands of German soldiers that are living in the Italian territories, as the alliance said. So, as Italy was full of German troops, the process of making the surrender is completely a disastrous and is also very difficult. A surrender still have made and was signed on September 3, 1943. The same day, British troops crossed the Strait of Messina to the Italian mainland. 6 days later, the US Army landed further north on Salerno. For Germany, the Italian surrender means nothing. The only thing they have to do is to change their attitude in front of their old alliance from the Allies into an occupying forces. They just simply disarm the Italians. Where possible, the Italian soldiers want to escape out of the war and to end it quickly, change their side. And within a few months, more than 300,000 of them were fighting with the Allies instead of against them. Italy is a narrow, mountainous country with many rivers crossing its interior. This made these countries very easy to defend and difficult to attack, both from in and outside. After early Allied success in the south, the Germans established a solid defensive line about 100 kilometers south of Rome, and so the Allied commanders decided to launch an attack along the coast instead. But the landing craft needed for such assault were short supplies, and the campaign to drive Japan from its Pacific empire was in full swing. Moreover, the equipment in England was being stockpiled by the government as a way to prepare for the incoming invasion of the French, their most biggest enemies. Allied soldiers then landed at Angel on January 22, 1944, but were hemmed in. Or, for somebody who don't understand what is hemmed in, you could say they was held back by the German forces. However, a few months later, two decisive victories, which I'm not going to talk about here, finally enabled them to break through into the North Territory. So, a group of mainly Polish forces overran a German strongpoint in an ancient hilltop monastery of Monte Cassino. And this campaign also destroyed the 1,500-year-old historic places in the process between in the battles between two sides. Within 3 weeks, the undefended Italian capital of Rome was in Allied hands, and on June 6, the Allies landed at Normandy in France, and the war in Italy became something just as a sideshow. But of course, this is just because people back then talked about it so. But by the end of the war, the Allied forces in Italy had only reached the River Po, which you can search up on the Italian map. And I'm not going to talk more details about these places, but you just know that it's not a big part of the Italy, and only the far north of the country remained in the German hands. All right, and also we have another bonus point for the fate of Mussolini. So Hitler had many appalling traits, and sometimes they are terrible, but he have a very big good point that he is very loyal to those who he considers as friends, and this includes the imprisoned Mussolini, who he had rescued by the German commandos. Oh, and for some of you guys who don't know, what is commandos? Commandos is members of the special forces that was made by the Allies and the Nazis, and the words that uses for these special forces members was commando. And if you want to know more about that, you could watch the topic about special force that I just made before I have this video, and know I mean investigate about how that this kind of forces work and their casualties. You will find something I mean very amusing and also exciting to hear about. But that's just my opinion. Now let's keep going on our topic. So the Italian dictator, after being get down by his citizen, now is just a shadow of his old self, set up a new government in German occupied Italy, and this government was called the Salo Republic, after the small northern town he made his headquarters. But there is a real big difference between who he was and who he is back then. So after being deposed by his citizen, Mussolini lost all of his strength and now just a puppet, completely under the Nazi control. In April 1945, he and his mistress, Clara Pictassi, were captured and quickly executed by Italian partisans. Their bodies were hung in the city square in Milan to be smacked and shot by the vengeful Italians who angry at them because of what they did. Alright, so that's all I want to talk to you guys today about the Italian campaign. How did the Allies conquer Italian, reaching the surrender agreement in secret in front of the German nose, and also how that this place cover the Allies' quick point during the war with the Germany, and also the fate of the former president or former dictator of Italian, Mussolini, with his mistress. And that's all I want to tell you guys today. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys in my next video. And now I think it's time for us to go. See ya!